and he managed to defend it. He lost the gateway, so that's going to hurt. But I mean, he minimized losses really well. But I'm surprised that Fantasy didn't even put up a second command center or anything. I mean, this was like his only hope here, and only now is he putting up his command center.
Yeah, I can't believe he hadn't expanded yet. I mean, if that was me playing as Protoss at that point, I would have expected the Terran to already have another command center and like a third factory on the way. I don't know. Like, I guess Fantasy really committed to building more vultures and the bunker. I mean, he didn't even get turrets up. Even though he didn't send a lot of SCVs with the push, he actually was cutting SCVs early, like to go power factory. I guess he was a good space of time when he wasn't building SCVs. Things actually not looking too good for Fantasy, even though he practically had that game
started the command center.
But what is he spending his money on at this point? I have to imagine that he could support 2 factories and get 400 minerals with 2 factories constantly pumping by the like 9 minutes into the game. I have no idea what he's spending all the money. It looks like he's probably got the Reaver already in there, and there's no turrets up for Fantasy. No turrets at all. So this is definitely going to do damage. He might or might not have seen the shuttle with vultures, and he has siege mode, but there's no turrets at all. So this is definitely going to do some damage. Fantasy still doesn't know about that bottom left base that Jangbi took like a cheater Protoss, I Love Uv style. Even though I would have expected Terran of the level of Fantasy to... Oh man, a good Reaver scare there. Is the Reaver not going to shoot? Oh, getting the vulture. This is definitely doing damage, just slowing Fantasy down. I mean, even with the 3 tanks here, he could definitely get off another Reaver shot. Only one of them is C. Looks like maybe he's going to play... Oh no! Is he really going to float that in there? Does he know that that's there? If he floats that factory in there and builds a vulture, that would probably be one of the... That's a pimpest play right there. That would just be so baller. Like, I wouldn't even know what to say.
He has to see the pylon by now.
Yeah, he has to see it. But not that there's anything he can do about it. I mean, really, there's nothing he can do about it at this point. He cannot attack.
Look at his mini-map.
Especially with the Reaver.
I don't think he sees it.
No, actually you're right. He has not seen that pylon. This is really fucking weird. What a weird fucking game. Like, excuse the language, but holy shit.
No, I mean, it deserves it. And then I'm surprised that Jangbi's Reaver harassed. I mean, it picked off some stuff, but it seems like it would have done more. But, you know, Jangbi knows right away how far ahead he is. And, you know, he's just playing it safe, knows he needs to keep the Reaver alive, taking... You know, even though it's its natural, it is his second expansion. And here comes the Reaver now. And now turrets finally going up. 2 Reavers now popping, killing 1 tank. Looks like Fantasy still only has 1 factory producing in his main because he floated that second factory, which still hasn't seen the hidden expansion. And that shuttle now leaving, but picking off the tanks. I mean, tank count is going to be so critical here because he's down. And now Fantasy realized his mistake that he passed up that expansion, and now he's going to be shelling away at the pylon now. And, you know, he's not going to be able to do much. He's probably going to start flooding vultures at this point, but double speed shuttle for Jangbi. So just really unstandard play from both players. And I have to imagine, I don't think he's got a 3rd Reaver. I mean, he's probably just building some Zealots, I guess, in that second shuttle, but he's probably going to try and almost completely eliminate Fantasy's tank count and probably go in for some sort of attack here, which is real rare.
Oh, what a crazy drop.
Oh, it looks like only 1 Reaver, but he didn't drop it. But I mean, all those mines, Reaver! Oh, nice pickup.
Oh, man. Wow. Great.
Excellent micro so far from Jangbi.
Jangbi is really tearing him up. Oh, wow. Did he save both Reavers? If he saved both Reavers, it's really looking awful for Fantasy here. Oh no, it looks like he's only dropping 1 of the Reavers. That shuttle is almost dead.
Shuttle.
Oh, get the shuttle out of there.
He broke the pylon.
Wow. Oh, but Jangbi ready with the cannon. It looks like the shuttle went down. So, Fantasy really didn't take that much damage there. He held that off pretty well. It looks like that was kind of a mistake for Jangbi. So finally, Fantasy doing something right after losing that contain, kind of trying to get his way back into this game. But he's still down 3 bases to 2, and those bases have been up for a while. I think Fantasy's got his factory count up now, but Jangbi does also have his gateway count up, and he's got a much bigger army as it stands right now. I think Jangbi with a good at least 2 control groups of Dragoons versus I don't think Fantasy has more than 6 tanks and a handful of vultures. So still pretty commanding lead here by Jangbi.
Yeah, not only is, you know, even though he lost the speed shuttle and he lost the Reavers, I mean, he's still ahead on tech. I mean, normally you get to, oh, he's going to lose some, Nice, he picks off one of the mines, but the other mine goes off, and now the Observer reuniting with that army. But, you know, he's
No,
ahead
that one
on
didn't go
tech
off either.
too. Oh, no, didn't? No, I think it did. I'm pretty sure that one went off. Because
No,
there
it
was
didn't.
only
They checked the
3 dragoons
shields
that
of the
shot.
dragoon.
Oh, did they? Oh, I didn't even notice that. Wow, so, even though, whatever. So,
Jangbi getting lucky there.
Fantasy still flooding vultures, but he's not going to be able to do anything to this base because, you know, just one cannon sitting in the mineral line, there's no way that he can outrange. I think he can maybe hit one of the minerals, but Jangbi's so far ahead on tech, too. I mean, he's already got a Citadel and Templar archives down, so, I mean, he could advance to Arbiters while Fantasy is only on 2 bases. It looks like I saw 5, it looks like 5 total factories, but Jangbi moving in, his 3rd speed shuttle produced here, and just clearing out the mines. Looks like 4 tanks on the low ground, 1 tank on the high ground, only gets 1 zealot off of that tank, but there's no way that Fantasy can defend this. He's trying to stretch out and take a 3rd, and there's no way he can even defend 2 bases at this point.
Yeah, this is pretty much it. It's over. There's no way he's defending this. Really just well played by Jangbi after getting that base back. Fantasy made a mistake in not taking his 2nd much earlier. He just overcommitted to that contain and had it broken too easily. If he had spent more money maybe building a turrets to defend against the shuttle, or if he had basically just gone for a 2nd CC right away, he would have been in a much better position. But now he's forced to GG. Good game. I mean, what a crazy game. I mean, really, I could sit here and talk forever about all the little things that happened in this game, but it really just came down to Fantasy didn't do enough while he had Jangbi contained, is really just what the game boils down to.
And that's just how good of an overall player Jangbi is. I mean, he's, you know, even though Fantasy is just like, oh, he's creative or he does, you know, all this strange stuff, I mean, Jangbi just reacted to everything so perfectly. And I mean, you saw how Fantasy was a little late on the command center when Jangbi knew right away. The second he saw that crazy contain, he snuck a probe out and hit an expansion so that the second he broke it, he was already ahead. And Jangbi, just such a great overall player. Pretty psyched to make it out of this group. But I mean, just crazy stuff all around. I think, you know, there's a lot of factors that affected that game. You know, I think it's just kind of strange how Fantasy's contain. I mean, he went way too many ways with it. He was trying to shell the gateways, but he didn't really go all in where he'd pull SCVs, but he cut a lot of SCVs, and it was kind of, you know, although it was definitely a very technical attack, I mean, he definitely had a plan with that. You know, it didn't, I don't think it really worked out as well to what Jangbi did and the way he broke it by just having those Dragoons on the high ground just kill them. But, you know, overall, I think just Jangbi showed better game sense, better micro, and just, you know, even though I think Fantasy was a little bit better prepared for that overall, I think Jangbi just played better.
Yeah, it was a really interesting build. I still don't know what the hell the point of the forward barracks was. I really think he thought Iris won. And he just kind of realized it later. This is not a TPT. But yeah, I mean, Jangbi played great. I also think that it was strange that Fantasy, I guess you get flustered in these really tight games, but personally, from my experience, if you get contained as a Protoss, like, the first thing you do is sneak a probe out and get another expansion. Like, it's pretty much textbook play to try to sneak that expansion. And almost any decent Terran, I mean, even at the sea level, any decent Terran would expect you to do that and would scout for it immediately. But Fantasy, for some reason, just totally didn't enter his mind, I guess. So that was a little strange. And yeah, just trying to do too much and too little with the contain. And you know, that's the downfall. I mean, he sieges up and shells the gateways, but because of that, he's in range of the Dragoons from the cliff. I mean, if he had those tanks farther back, yeah, he wouldn't have been able to get the gateways, but at the same time, it would have made it so much harder for Jangbi to break out of that, because he would have had to march his Dragoons down the ramp in order to attack the tanks, and that's just a disaster. I guess he just didn't really use the full potential of containing below a ramp. But anyway, it was a good game and really well played by Jangbi, and you know, I mean, what can you say? He was clearly the best player in this group. Totally smashed his way through everyone, and I'm looking forward to see Fantasy in the last game. He's pretty creative, exciting play from him in both of the games we've seen him so far.
Yeah, I guess, you know, we can look forward to not 5 TVP games in a row we may see Iris in Fantasy if Iris breaks Tempest. And just as a final note, before we move on, I'm reviewing this gas thing, and honestly, the way the commentators showed it, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, you see the SCV moving towards this gas, and then this camera switches off of the gas, and then the camera goes back on the ramp, and you see the SCV moving away from the gas, like into the main, and it really looks like he glitched it through it, but I know it's illegal on iCup, and I assume it's illegal in Kespa, although I'm not, not familiar with the intricacies.
Otherwise, we would
but
see it so much more.
But he did it. Like, it was almost clear. Like, it was almost blatantly obvious that he just pulled that off right there. So, I guess I don't know what to say with that. I mean, I guess, I don't know. But, I mean, once again, just like you said, I mean, we could pretty much discuss this game for infinity, but we're going to try and fit this in 2 parts, although it's going to be a tight fit. So we're moving on to Iris versus Tempest in the 4th set losers match on the same map, Neo Harmony.
Yep, see you in the next game, guys.